Hello there, my name is San, and today I'll film the second part of my self-spoken reading my book video. It's still insane, but last time I stopped at chapter 2, and since then the book is released. If you want to get a copy, a free copy, the link is down below. There's like Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, and other sources that you can get there. There's like French sources too, I think even Asian ones. So if you're interested, please go get your free copy. I'll be very grateful for your reviews on Goodreads or even there in the stores you bought there. Because like, it's free, so more than anything, I actually need reviews, your opinions, and other stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And let's start reading a book. I actually changed cover a little bit. Before there was like ways written, and sometimes you can misread it as man's, which is like insane. So I tried very hard to find right font, and my friend helped me a lot. Thank you so much. Because like it was a nightmare, and she suggested me to put part 1 in a different place and change it all a little bit. So yeah, thank you so much. We'll read on iPad again. Chapter 2. The sun shone through the windows, waking her up with its brightness. Alison tried to hide beneath a blanket, but was interrupted by someone knocking at the door. Bats were heavenly soft, and standing up to welcome someone seemed difficult and unnecessary. Instead, the girl closed her eyes, falling to the dream state, imagining the beautiful garden full of blossoming trees and flowers. Birds were singing their songs on the thin branches. Trees were covered with pink and soft white petals, falling to the grass beneath her feet. Children ran around the birth bath, and wooden benches stood in the heart of her garden. It was a peaceful and ethereal place for the perfect day somewhere in the middle of her hometown. It took her a few minutes to fall back to sleep, but the knock interrupted her dreams again, followed by Benoit walking in through the small door beside her bed. I asked maids to let you sleep for a few minutes more, he commented, sitting down in the corner of her bed. I see you are busy fantasizing, your future majesty. Rise and shine to meet the new home of yours. Alison hid behind the pillow, smiling. Maybe I can stay here. The sun shines through the window, so I get all the warmth I need. And even though it was a cute sight, Benoit needed to wake her up. Should I tell your tailor that is waiting for you in the south wing that you won't come today? The man would be so upset, Ellie. Be merciful. Fine, she answered, giving her friend a hand for him to shake. Take. He pushed her into a sitting position and walked towards the bedside table. Mademoiselle from the kitchen is waiting for my notice to serve the table too, he continued, picking up the hairbrush. What do they cook there? Something breezy with lots of meat, she winced. They'll cook whatever you want. We can give them recipes from home and they'll learn with time. Alison nodded, waiting patiently for Benoit to brush her hair and braid them into something more comfortable than usual Cremonian hairstyles. I dreamed of Therian gardens, with little benches and birds, she said, feeling her eyes close. What birds did you dream of? Little tiny ones or enormous birds they use for a hunt? He asked, picking up the earrings for her to wear. Beautiful green stones were glistening in the sun. Over there was a cat. Alison looked at him and started giggling. The only birds they've seen in Crelon were Arakan crows, and they definitely weren't a pretty sight. She missed little birds from her garden, their singing waking her up every morning. Cats or not, it was silent until you knocked at this peculiar door. The door was peculiar indeed. The frame was smaller than a girl's height, made of dark wood with a bow-shaped handle. It definitely was supposed to be an entrance for servants and maids, so guests wouldn't notice their arrival. But it was so heavily decorated it was hard to miss. Amazed the fireplaces in Beaven Wheel, they were made individually, with fewer stones and more decor in them. Here they remind me of furnaces. Benoit sighed, reminding her how much he liked pretty things, and practical sometimes didn't seem important enough. His enthusiasm inspired Ellie to view the world a little differently too. They might allow us to decorate the castle, with time. Bring more theory to Crelon. Imagine the king's face when he'll walk into the room to see white stones with greenery all over them. It'll be a catastrophe, he joked, mocking Edward's shock. We can start with my room. Replace the door or this red-colored bedding. I swear, one day this color will give me headaches. I wouldn't be surprised, Benoit shrugged, moving to open the larger door for her to exit. They needed to move on with their day and plan the wedding. Luckily, she had options to choose from. End of the scene. What do you think yet? First few chapters are actually very light-hearted ones, like an introduction to the world building, introduction to a few characters. But with time, it's getting darker and darker, and in the end, it's like a very dark story. And there's so many characters you yet to be introduced to. And my favorite ones too. So yeah, stay tuned. The south wing of the castle slightly differed from others. Stairs and corridors were wider, bringing a more airy feeling to the space. The tailor's workshop proposed a large archways that opened the magnificent town view. Big staircases led to oaken fair and were interlaced with giant oaks and trees. They found a tailor at his table, scribbling some numbers. Numbers. He was dressed in a red cape with a white ornament on lapels, hair hidden beneath a wrap around his head. They introduced themselves and started working, preparing the dress for the celebration. As in Maxime, like he asked her to call him, let Alison decide the fabrics and shades, while casually bouncing her every suggestion to call her by the first name. Benoit giggled quietly, trying not to get too much attention. Your Majesty, you can choose between these fabrics. They're pretty similar in material, but different in undertones, as you can see. At the nearest table, we found a variety of silk and velvet textiles in the deep jewel colors: blue, red, green, and yellow, laid out carefully for her to see. Known for her color taste, Alison chose an emerald one, smiling at its softness. She knew that the traditional choice for the Crelonian wedding was always red, but the tailor noticed that the fresh view of the bride's dress was always welcomed. The groom's tunic will need to be changed too. Is it even possible? I considered the king would give orders in which way a wedding should go. She asked Maxime, who was already busy measuring her. His Majesty suggested changing the theme if we wanted to bring you more comfort during the difficult transition period of your life. How nice of him, she mumbled, trying to suppress disagreement behind the cough. The tailor sighed, noticing her mood. It's actually nice to dress someone foreign. Ladies of the castle are not that original in their style. Alison nodded, opened her mouth to answer, but was distracted by sudden gleams of sunlight that reached her eyes. Sunbeams blinded her for a moment, disappearing just as suddenly as they appeared. They're out of fashion, don't you think? Benoit answered instead, bringing her back to reality. A little more colors and layers to the dresses and gowns, and will look different from person to person. Alison blinked, blinked, looking around to see where the light came from. The curtains were shut tight, and the door was closed. The only source of light in the room were candles, too small for sunbeams. Or they could try to at least forget about red fabric. But who am I to judge, right? Maxime laughed, adding a few more numbers to his papers. Giving up, Alison looked up at the big mirror that was placed in a gorgeous dark wood frame with flowers and birds, unusual for the castle. She saw herself, tired and disheveled, but not noticeable to an untrained eye. Blue eyes were highlighted with dark circles beneath, and the slight shakiness of her hands made her look sick. Perhaps the road trip was too harsh on her. Benoit walked closer, taking her attention away from the reflection. "Should I ask to serve the table? You look like you could use a meal," he asked. Slightly nodding to him, Alison turned around, waiting for the tailor to finish measuring. He nodded and left the room. The silence filled the workshop, interrupted by the soft scribbling of the pencil. "This young man is very educated to only be a servant, isn't he?" Maxime asked, looking at her with a smile on his face. She looked up at him, noticing how tall he was. "He is. We studied together. Adults could not separate us when we were younger. So what I've learned, he learned. And, I must admit, he remembered it more than me." Alison smiled at the memories. "He is lucky to have you, Your Majesty. Not everyone wants to have friends from lower ranks and let them study together," Maxime said. His blonde hair emerged from the rub, messy from constant movements. He sighed, opening one of his drawers to grab the book. "It's what the late servants, maids, and tailors learn about Crelon and its culture. Rise of Light is mainly the story about the kingdom's saints and history. I think you need to read it." "Thank you," she answered, taking the volume in her hands. It looked old, the cover gilded with gold. "Is it full of history or legends?" Maxime shrugged, looking at the book. "Who knows? Sometimes tales tell more about the past than any historical books." Alison nodded, placing on the nearest table. "I might as well show it to Benoit. He will enjoy it as much as I do." "You're very kind, Your Majesty. Not everyone will do as much as you do to your friends," he commented, tracing the letters on the cover. Not everyone, she thought. But how could she not, when a young boy was always so interested in little pieces of knowledge teachers provided her with? Her father was kind enough to let him stay, giving a girl an opportunity to have a loyal friend. Maybe it was different in Crelon. Royals dressed in expensive clothes, hidden behind thick walls from the subjects. Even the drawbridges were pulled up right after their arrival. The kingdom, with powerful protection, would not save its people, but the crown and their closest ones. What a waste. How are you finding it yet? It is like one of my favorite characters, Maxime. He's a tailor, as you can see. Every wing of the castle had its dining room. Guests could enjoy their meals alone, going down to meet other people from time to time. Her brunch was served in the same wing, in the company of cooks, Benoit, and birds outside. Enormous windows allowed to see the trees that were contrasting in the greenery with grey clouds above. The weather worsened while we were in the workshop. The light didn't reflect from the chandelier, but it still was outstanding, with lovely metal pieces hanging from the base and forming flower ornaments. What truly amazed the girl was the table itself, served with everything she loved to eat for breakfast or lunch. Not quite known for eating so late, she found it enjoyable to mix the courses of meal in one. Having only one chair at the table and one plate served to her was unusual. Back in the day, she had Benoit sitting beside her, eating, quietly arguing about every topic there was. But in Crelon, royals ate from a different table than others. Turning around, Alison found Benoit talking with a lady. her hair covered beneath the blue fabric. The moon looked calm, her eyes observing her reactions to every meal. I know there might be complications with the recipes you brought with you, but we tried our hardest to replicate them. Could you tell us what was good and what wasn't? She walked out through the small door, not waiting for an answer. Benoit came closer to her, picking up the berry from her plate. I must admit, it is hard to determine should we be flustered that everyone here is trying to make your living conditions better, or worried that they think someone will kill them because of the wrong meal. He noticed. I don't know, everything is new to them too. We changed locations but brought French traditions with us, and they all try their hardest. She sighed, picking up a berry too. Why don't you sit here with me, eat some food, tell me the news? I wish I could, but servants do not eat with the high class here. If someone notices, I could end up in trouble. What a ridiculous set of rules. You're a friend. You're my friend too, but we still can't. Still can't, he whispered. And maybe it was a slight change in his speech when he talked about it, or the determined set of his shoulders, but she knew the rapid changes were hurting him too. She may be the one to marry an unknown man, but he was here too, trying to live up to rules and additional responsibilities. But if I suggest you to do it, wouldn't it mean someone from the higher class ordered you to? Alison joked, making him smile and shake his head. I don't like the way rules are so strict here, she said, her voice weakening. It wasn't out of frustration, but of knowledge that people who lived here long enough knew to behave. And don't question anything. What did it mean for newcomers that tried to live up to expectations? Expectations. I may try to cough more often around here if it brings you comfort, Benoit muttered, picking up yet another berry. Funny, try not to, or I'll take you to the room and tackle your blankets. You can always try, he sang, changing his expression to a more serious one. What do you think about the meal? I don't know, don't even remember. You can say it was good, and they should practice to earn excellence. Benoit nodded. I'll ask them to cook the same tomorrow morning, so you can taste it, and if you'd like it, they'll serve it on your wedding morning. Alison sighed, closing her eyes. Behind the eyelids was nothing but endless dark. It all goes so fast. I'm not sure how people can prepare for the wedding in a few days. Isn't a royal wedding supposed to be the grandest event of the decade? They have experience and the right amount of people to do it. They all try their best to arrange for the wedding and life after. Don't start on life after. What am I presumed to do after? She had a general understanding of her future, the blurry picture of position and responsibilities. There were no instructions from the father or nannies, no inner knowing or suggestions. Even Benoit looked a little lost. I think we'll see. A few days and he'll be able to figure it out. Like you always do, he winked, placing a hand on her shoulder. I wish it'll be that easy. The more they spent in Underhold, the darker it seemed to become. Despite it all, the usual cruel neon dullness was replaced with a clear sky and sunny days. It got darker within her, painting the childish hope she always had with tedious adulthood, taking everything around to the deep bottom. Until the sea. The rest of the day was the same as breakfast. Monotonous days followed it, making Alison life full of preparations. She only met Edward one day before the wedding. He appeared in the dining room when she was having breakfast. The immediate attention followed him, making Alison look up from the meal. The man walked into the room, heading towards the other end of the table. Servants came with another chair slightly bigger than hers. Everyone fell into silence. She continued slicing her food, trying not to make loud noises and gain more attention. King's gaze felt heavy on her, and after realized he was looking. Admittedly, it was intimidating to have attention from a man of power. Tilting her head even further down, Alison tried to focus on the knife and fork. Fork. Can I ask you why you're so fascinated with the slicing? he asked, leaning back in his chair. Alison sighed. I'm eating. Apparently, it's the major part of it. It made him laugh. The sound was strange, harsh and short. She looked up, finding a smile on Edward's face quite fascinating, which was good, considering their upcoming marriage. Maybe her father was right in love will find them along the way. The beauty of marital bonds, overcoming every doubt and fear. The rest of the breakfast went by, and they didn't share a word. The sun lighted up the room, contrasting with her feelings. Marrying a stranger, no matter how royal he was, didn't seem to be an excellent decision. They didn't have any similarities or shared interest. The silence was enough evidence. After the meal, Alison prepared for tomorrow, dreading it at the same time. Every corner of the castle seemed to brighten up with her appearance, shadows getting closer to her and leaving their usual places. But the future queen didn't notice it, spending more time in her head. Not the brightest place to be in. It was the second chapter. I hope that you liked it, truly. And when I read the first chapters, I just understand how light-hearted they are. Because Alison still has childish hopes and faith in a greatest future, and it's reflected there. But when you remember the next parts of the book, I just realize how dark someone can become in different circumstances. Actually, write down below to understand what I'm saying, because I tried so hard to pronounce words right. But if it's hard for you to understand, I'll try better. I know I write like in Russian with more diction, how you call it, obviously. But in English, it's harder for me to pronounce words in a clear way. Because like, I learned this language, not was born into it, right? So yeah, a little note from me. So yeah, comment down below, did you understand what I'm saying? Did you like the chapter? How about the pacing, the words, the combinations, all of this, characters? What do you think yet? I really want to get some reviews about my work, because for me this book only exists like in my head, or it seems so, because I don't get any reviews from my parents because they don't speak English. And like, I have one friend who reading a book now. It's nice to get review from her, but like, I just want people to read it and comment. Even if you have negative reviews, it's okay. I want to grow in my writing, because I'm an author. So yeah, remember there is a sale on my book, so you can get it for free. Link is down below, and in this link you can find different links to different stories. So yeah, if you're interested, please check it out. I don't know when I post the next chapter, because it's all about my mood and inspiration. Do you want to read it? Do not want to. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for your kind comments. I never got so many compliments from people like in real life. I get so many from you, so thank you so much. It's very kind of you, and I feel very shy when I read them. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.